The chamber is open and full of whispers.
What if Voldemort's curse had rebounded differently on Halloween night 1981? What if, instead of killing James and Lily Potter, the protection magic Lily invoked had shielded all three Potters, not just Harry? What if James and Lily had survived, had watched their son defeat the Dark Lord as a baby, had been there to raise him in a world finally free from Voldemort's terror? This seems like the perfect timeline. The happy ending. The boy who lived with parents who loved him, who could explain his fame, who could prepare him for the destiny that Scar represented. No Dursleys, no cupboard under the stairs, no years of abuse and neglect, just a family, whole and loving and alive. But perfect timelines don't exist. Every change creates ripples, consequences we can't predict. And raising the boy who lived, the child who defeated the most powerful dark wizard in a century, comes with complications no parenting book could prepare you for. Today we're exploring what happens when James and Lily Potter survive, when Harry grows up knowing his parents, knowing love from day one, but also growing up under the weight of being the most famous wizard alive before he can even walk, when the prophecy that shaped his destiny becomes something his parents must help him navigate rather than discover years later, when the scar on his forehead is a family reminder of the night they all survived, not just Harry alone. This changes everything about Harry's story, not just his childhood but his entire approach to magic, friendship, destiny, and the war that will inevitably come. Because here's the crucial detail everyone forgets. The prophecy doesn't disappear just because James and Lily survive. Voldemort is still out there, disembodied but not destroyed. The Dark Lord will return, and when he does, Harry will still be the only one who can defeat him. The difference is that this time Harry won't face it alone. He'll have parents who know the truth, who fought in the First War, who understand what's coming. But he'll also have parents who are terrified of losing him, who might overprotect him, who must balance keeping him safe with preparing him for a battle they know is inevitable. We'll explore how James and Lily navigate raising the boy who lived, how they handle the fame, Harry's face on chocolate frog cards before he's old enough to read, strangers stopping them in Diagon Alley to thank their son for ending the war, the constant pressure of public expectation, how they explain to a child why he's famous, why people stare, why he has a scar that sometimes hurts. We'll watch how this changes Harry's Hogwarts experience. He arrives not as an abused orphan discovering magic for the first time, but as a confident child who's grown up immersed in magical culture, who knows advanced spells from watching his parents, who understands the wizarding world's politics and prejudices. He's not desperately seeking belonging, he already has it. He's not fighting to prove his worth, everyone already believes he's special. But we'll also examine the costs. Harry grows up knowing his parents love him, yes, but he also grows up knowing they could have died, that Voldemort tried to kill them, that the only reason they survived was Harry's accidental magic and his mother's sacrifice. He carries guilt that Ken and Harry never experienced, the knowledge that his parents nearly died for him, that their scars, physical and emotional, from that night are because of him. We'll explore how James and Lily's survival changes the political landscape. James is from an ancient pure-blood family, wealthy and influential. Lily is Muggle-born but a war hero, beloved by those who fought against Voldemort. Together they have power, social, political, financial. They can shape Harry's childhood in ways the Dursleys never could. But they also attract attention, and enemies that the Dursleys' obscurity avoided. And we'll watch how Sirius, Remus, and the rest of the Marauders' circle shaped this timeline. Sirius never goes to Azkaban. He was never accused of betraying the Potters because they survived. He's Harry's godfather, actively involved in his life, teaching him pranks and mischief. Remus isn't isolated and poverty-stricken. He's Uncle Moony, welcomed into the Potter home despite being a werewolf. Peter Pettigrew's betrayal is discovered because James and Lily can testify about the secret keeper switch. This is the story of Harry Potter, who never knew the Dursleys, who grew up loved and confident and prepared, who arrives at Hogwarts already knowing he's special, already understanding his connection to Voldemort, already trained by parents who are determined their son will survive the next battle, who has everything Ken and Harry desperately wanted, family, belonging, love, but who also carries burdens Ken and Harry never imagined. Because when you're raised by heroes who survived a Dark Lord's attack, when you grow up knowing you're prophesied to fight that same Dark Lord someday, when your parents pour all their knowledge and fear and desperate love into preparing you for a war they know is coming, that shapes you in ways both beautiful and complicated. So let's explore what happens when the Potters survive, when James and Lily raise Harry, When the boy who lived becomes the boy who lived with parents who would do anything to make sure he keeps living. Halloween night, 1981. The night everything changed. The house at Godric's Hollow exploded with green light. Inside, Lily Potter had thrown herself between Voldemort and baby Harry, screaming the words of an ancient protection charm she'd researched obsessively during months of hiding. Not just the sacrifice, she'd known she'd die for Harry without hesitation, but a binding enchantment that would tie her life force to his, create a web of protection so complex that even the killing curse couldn't easily unravel it. "Stand aside, you foolish girl," Voldemort hissed. "Stand aside now." "Not Harry. Please, not Harry." The green light erupted from Voldemort's wand. It struck Lily, but the protection magic she'd woven activated simultaneously. The curse hit the shield of her sacrifice and rebounded, splitting. Part of it struck baby Harry, leaving a lightning bolt scar. Part of it ricocheted back toward Voldemort, and part of it, the smallest fragment, backfired into the web of protective magic Lily had created, supercharging it in ways she'd never anticipated. The explosion of magical feedback was catastrophic. Voldemort's body was destroyed, his soul torn from physical form. Harry screamed, bleeding from the new scar. And Lily woke up. She was on the nursery floor, her body aching like she'd been hit by a dozen bludgers. Harry was crying in his crib, and through the ringing in her ears, she heard footsteps pounding up the stairs. "Lily!" James burst into the room, wand raised, ready to fight. He'd been downstairs trying to hold off Voldemort, had been hit with a curse that had thrown him through a wall. He looked half dead, bleeding from a head wound, but he was alive and moving. "Harry," Lily gasped, forcing herself up. "Check Harry." James was already at the crib, carefully lifting their crying son. "He's got a cut on his forehead. Bleeding, but it doesn't look deep." "Lily, what happened? Where's—" "Voldemort's gone," Lily said, her voice shaking. The curse rebounded. "He tried to kill Harry, and the protection magic I'd prepared, it worked. It sent the curse back." James stared at her. "You're alive. You're both alive. Check for him," Lily insisted, staggering to her feet. "Make sure he's really gone." They searched the house, wands ready, but found only destruction. The nursery wall was blown out. Scorch marks covered the floor where Voldemort had stood, but no body. No sign of the Dark Lord except the lingering stench of dark magic and the eerie silence that followed his presence. "He's gone," James said finally, pulling Lily and Harry into a tight embrace. "He's really gone." "For now," Lily whispered, looking at the cut on Harry's forehead that was already forming a scar. "But James, the curse hit him. Part of it hit him. We need to check for dark magic. Make sure he's not—" "We'll check everything," James promised. "We'll make sure he's safe." They were found an hour later by Sirius Black, who'd broken through the Fidelius charm's protections when he felt them waver. He burst through the destroyed front door, wand raised, eyes wild, and stopped dead at the sight of James and Lily standing in the ruined nursery with Harry. "You're alive," Sirius breathed. "Merlin's beard, you're alive." "Padfoot," James said, and the relief in his voice was overwhelming. "He came. Voldemort came, and I know. I felt the Fidelius break. Thought that meant—" Sirius couldn't finish the sentence. He pulled James into a fierce hug, then, "Lily, how are you alive?" "He killed everyone he targeted. No one survived the killing curse." "Lily did something," James said. "Some protection magic. It rebounded the curse." "And Harry?" Sirius looked at the baby in Lily's arms, at the fresh scar on his forehead. "Alive," Lily said firmly. "He's alive, and we're going to make sure he stays that way." By dawn, the house was swarming with Aurors, ministry officials and members of the Order of the Phoenix. Dumbledore arrived looking older than they'd ever seen him, his usual twinkle completely absent. "You survived," Dumbledore said quietly, examining the destroyed nursery. "Both of you, and Harry. Extraordinary. The protection ritual I researched," Lily explained, still holding Harry close. "It worked better than I expected. When Voldemort cast the killing curse, it rebounded. Destroyed his body, I think. But part of the curse still hit Harry. Left this scar." Dumbledore's eyes fixed on the lightning bolt mark on Harry's forehead. "May I examine him?" Lily hesitated, then allowed Dumbledore to cast diagnostic spells over her son. The old wizard's expression grew increasingly grave. "There is dark magic here," Dumbledore said finally, "connected to the scar. I believe when the curse struck Harry and rebounded, it may have—" left something behind. What kind of something? James demanded, hand tightening on his wand. A connection between Harry and Voldemort. I will need to research this further. But James, Lily, you must understand that Voldemort is not truly gone. His body is destroyed, but his soul endures. He will seek to return, and when he does, this connection may prove significant. The words hung in the air like a curse themselves. They'd survived. But the threat wasn't over. Then we prepare, Lily said firmly. We prepare Harry for whatever comes next. We teach him, train him, make sure he's ready. Lily, Dumbledore began. No, Lily interrupted. Dumbledore, you know the prophecy. You know Harry is destined to face Voldemort. We can't change that, but we can make sure our son is prepared instead of being thrown into battle blind. James nodded slowly. She's right. If Voldemort is coming back, Harry needs to be ready. And this time, he won't be facing it alone. The Ministry declared Voldemort defeated, vanquished by 15-month-old Harry Potter. The war was over. Death Eaters were rounded up, tried, imprisoned, or killed. The Wizarding world celebrated its first Halloween without fear in over a decade. But in the newly warded house in Godric's Hollow, James and Lily Potter held their son and made plans. Plans to protect him. Plans to train him. Plans to survive what they knew was coming. Because the prophecy was clear. Neither can live while the other survives. And they were determined that when the time came, it would be their son who lived. Early years, ages 2. 7. Growing up, famous Harry Potter's second birthday party was attended by half the Order of the Phoenix, most of the Aurora Department, and a dozen reporters from the Daily Prophet, who somehow found out about the event despite every secrecy charm the Potters could cast. This is insane, James muttered, watching photographers snap pictures of his son smashing his face into a birthday cake. He's 2. Why do they care? 'Cause he's the boy who lived, Lily said tiredly. She'd spent the morning answering questions from a Witch Weekly reporter about Harry's favorite toys and whether they'd consider endorsements for magical baby products. James, we need to accept that our son is famous. This isn't going away. He shouldn't have to be famous. He should just be Harry. But Harry couldn't just be Harry. Not when his defeat of Voldemort was taught in history of magic classes. Not when his face appeared on chocolate frog cards. Toddler Harry, smiling, with the caption youngest wizard to survive the killing curse. Not when witches and wizards stopped them in Diagon Alley to shake his small hand and thank him for ending the war. The first time Harry asked about the scar, he was 3 years old. Why do I have this? He asked, touching the lightning bolt on his forehead, while Lily brushed his perpetually messy black hair. Lily set down the brush, her heart clenching. They'd discussed this moment, prepared for it, but actually facing her toddler son's innocent question was harder than she'd imagined. Because a very bad wizard tried to hurt you when you were a baby, Lily said carefully. But your daddy and I protected you, and the magic that protected you left that scar. Did it hurt? I don't know, sweetheart. You were very small. You probably don't remember. Harry touched the scar again, frowning in concentration. Sometimes it tingles. Like magic. Lily's blood ran cold. When does it tingle? Sometimes. When I'm thinking hard about things. Lily immediately told James, who told Dumbledore, who confirmed what they feared. The connection between Harry and Voldemort was active even with Voldemort disembodied. The scar was a link between them. We need to teach him occlumency, Lily decided, young. Before the connection can be exploited. He's 3, James protested. Occlumency is advanced magic. It requires mental discipline most adults struggle with. Then we start simple. Meditation, mental exercises, building mental defenses gradually. James, if Voldemort can access Harry's mind through that scar. I know, James interrupted, running his hands through his hair in the same gesture Harry would inherit. You're right. We start training him. But Lily, we also let him be a kid sometimes. He can't spend his whole childhood preparing for a war. They tried to balance it. Harry learned to read at 4, both because Lily was determined he'd have every educational advantage and because he was genuinely curious about the books in their library. He learned basic wand movements at 5, mimicking James's practice sessions with a toy wand until James finally taught him the proper forms. Swish and flick, James coached, guiding Harry's small hand through the levitation charm motion. The movement matters as much as the words. When you're old enough to have a wand, you'll already have muscle memory. Harry practiced religiously, determined to make his parents proud. He also learned to fly at 6, earlier than most children, but James had been a Quidditch star and couldn't resist teaching his son. Harry took to it naturally, zooming around the garden on a child-sized training broom while Lily watched with her heart in her throat. "He's going to be a natural," Sirius said proudly, watching Harry execute a perfect barrel roll. "Just like his dad." "He's going to give me a heart attack," Lily corrected. But the hardest lessons weren't magical. They were about fame, about privacy, about navigating a world that saw Harry as a symbol rather than a person. When Harry was 5, a group of older children surrounded him at a playground in a Muggle park near their house. "You're Harry Potter!" one exclaimed. "The boy who lived. My dad says you defeated you-know-who when you were just a baby." Harry, who'd been trying to play on the swings like a normal child, looked uncomfortable. "I don't remember it. Can you show us magic? Real magic?" "I'm not supposed to do magic outside of home," Harry said, repeating what his parents had told him countless times. "It's against the rules." "Bet you can't do any magic at all," another child sneered. "Bet you're just normal and the story's made up." Harry's accidental magic manifested before he could stop it, the swings all suddenly moving on their own, the slide extending upward impossibly high. The Muggle children ran away screaming. Lily found Harry crying under a tree an hour later. "They wanted me to be special," Harry sobbed. "But when I was special, they were scared. I didn't mean to scare them, Mum. I just got upset and the magic happened." Lily held him close, her own heart breaking. "I know, sweetheart. I know it's hard. People expect things from you because of what happened when you were a baby. But you're not responsible for their expectations." "Why did Voldemort come to our house?" Harry asked. "Why did he try to hurt us?" It was the question Lily had been dreading. Harry was 5, too young for the full truth of the prophecy, too young to understand destiny and chosen ones, but he deserved some answer. "Because he was afraid of you," Lily said carefully. "There was a prediction that a child born when you were born would be able to defeat him. Voldemort was scared of that prediction, so he tried to stop it from coming true, but he failed." "Am I going to have to fight him again?" Harry asked with a child's directness. Lily wanted to lie, wanted to promise that no Harry would never have to face Voldemort again, that the threat was over. But she promised herself she would never lie to her son about the important things. "Probably," she said quietly. "Someday when you're older and trained and ready." "Voldemort isn't truly gone, Harry. He's diminished, hiding, but he'll try to come back. And when he does, you'll need to stop him. Will you and Dad help me?" "Always," Lily promised fiercely. "We will always help you." "You're not fighting this alone." James started training Harry in defensive magic at 6. Not spellcasting. Harry was too young for a wand, but theory, tactics, situational awareness. They made it a game, practicing dodging spells, recognizing danger signs, planning escape routes. "Why are we doing this?" Harry asked during one session where James had been teaching him to identify dark mark symbols. "Because knowledge is protection," James explained. "The more you know, the safer you are. And Harry, your mum and I won't always be able to protect you. You need to be able to protect yourself. Is Voldemort coming back soon? We don't know. Could be years, could be decades. But when he does come back, you'll be ready." Harry absorbed the training with a seriousness that sometimes worried his parents. He was a cheerful child, quick to laugh and play, but he also carried an awareness of danger that most children his age never developed. He checked exits in unfamiliar buildings. He noticed when adults touched their wands nervously. He understood that people wanted to hurt him because of who he was. By age 7, Harry could identify most common hexes by their visual effects, knew evacuation procedures for a dozen different emergency scenarios, and had memorized the full list of Death Eaters who'd escaped justice after the war. James's idea, know your enemies before they strike. He could also fly better than most children twice his age, had read most of his parents' library, and had a wicked sense of humor inherited from both James and Sirius. "He's growing up too fast," Lily said one night, watching 7-year-old Harry practice wand movements in the garden with his toy wand. "We're preparing him to survive," James replied. "That's our job as parents. Our job is also to let him be a child." "I know, but Lily, the prophecy." "I know what the prophecy says," Lily interrupted. "But James, if we spend his entire childhood preparing him for a war that might not come for decades, we're stealing his childhood anyway. Voldemort doesn't need to be alive to hurt Harry if we do it for him." James was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You're right. We need to find a balance. Train him enough to keep him safe, but also let him be 7. They tried. Harry attended a Muggle primary school for a year to socialize with non-magical children his age. He joined a local Quidditch youth league under a different name to avoid attention. He had playdates with the children of Order members. Neville Longbottom became a close friend, bonding over their shared experience of Voldemort targeting their families. But the fame never went away. The stares never stopped. And Harry learned to navigate a world that saw him as both a hero and a target before he was old enough to fully understand what either meant. On the eve of Harry's 8th birthday, Lily found him looking through old photographs of Halloween 1981. Pictures of the destroyed nursery, of the dark mark that had been above their house, of baby Harry with the fresh scar. "Mum?" Harry asked quietly. "Do you ever wish Voldemort had never come to our house, that none of this had happened?" Lily sat beside him, considering her answer carefully. "I wish Voldemort had never existed. I wish he hadn't hurt people, hadn't killed families, hadn't caused so much pain. But Harry, I can't wish that night had never happened, because it made you who you are. You're brave and aware and compassionate because you understand what it means to survive something terrible. I just wish you didn't have to learn those lessons so young." "I'm going to have to kill him someday, aren't I?" Harry asked. "Really kill him, not just bounce his curse back." 8 years old and already understanding what the prophecy demanded. "Yes," Lily said, because she'd promised never to lie about the important things. "Someday you'll have to face him. But Harry, you'll be ready. We're making sure of that. What if I'm not good enough?" "You will be," Lily said fiercely, pulling him into a hug. "You're James and Lily Potter's son. You survived the killing curse. You'll survive whatever comes next." Harry hugged her back tightly, and Lily felt him tremble slightly. Her son, who was learning defense tactics and memorizing Death Eaters, they were preparing him to survive. She just hoped they weren't destroying who he could have been in the process. Late childhood, ages 8-10. The prophecy's weight, Harry's 9th birthday brought another media circus, but this time the Potters were prepared. James had contacted the Daily Prophet directly and agreed to give one exclusive interview in exchange for being left alone the rest of the year. The interview took place in their living room, with Harry sitting between his parents on the couch, looking remarkably composed for a 9-year-old facing a national audience. "Harry," the interviewer began, "you're the boy who lived. The wizard who defeated he who must not be named. How does that feel?" "I don't remember it," Harry said, clearly repeating a line his parents had coached him on. "I was 15 months old. I'm just grateful my parents survived too. But you must feel proud. You saved the wizarding world." "My mum saved us," Harry corrected. "She used protection magic that made Voldemort's curse rebound. I was just a baby. I didn't do anything special." It was both true and false. The protection had been Lily's, but the prophecy had marked Harry specifically. The interviewer pressed on. "Do you think you know who will return?" "Yes," Harry said simply, and Lily felt James stiffen beside her. They'd agreed to honesty, but she hadn't expected Harry to be quite so blunt. "You sound very certain." "My parents explained that Voldemort's body was destroyed, but his soul wasn't," Harry said, meeting the interviewer's eyes with unsettling directness. "He'll try to come back, and when he does, I'll help stop him again." The interview made front-page news. "Boy who lived predicts Dark Lord's return," the headline screamed, with a photo of 9-year-old Harry looking calm and confident. The response was mixed. Some people praised the Potters for raising a brave, aware child. Others criticized them for exposing Harry to such dark concepts. A few accused them of using their son for publicity. "We knew this would happen," James said, reading the letters that had poured in. Some were supportive, some were vitriolic. One threatened to kidnap Harry to protect him from his parents' influence. "We need better security," Lily decided. "More wards, more protections." "James, someone sent a howler to a 9-year-old child telling him he should have died with Voldemort. They upgraded the wards on Godric's Hollow until the house was nearly as protected as Hogwarts itself. Hired a rotation of Aurors to patrol the perimeter. Taught Harry to recognize threats and evacuate to safe rooms if necessary. This is no way for a child to live," Remus observed during one of his visits, watching Harry practice emergency apparition coordinates in case he needed to side along with an adult quickly. "No," Lily agreed. "But it's the only way to keep him alive. Remus, you've seen the threats. People want to hurt him because he's famous. Death Eaters who escaped want revenge. Dark Wizard sympathizers think killing Harry would be symbolic. We can't afford to be careless. At 10 years old, Harry received his first serious death threat. Not a vague rant, but a detailed plan describing how someone would kidnap him from the local library and deliver him to the Dark Lord's faithful servants. James reported it to the Aurors. Increased security again. And finally had the conversation he'd been dreading. Harry, we need to talk about what happens when you turn 11. Harry looked up from his Transfiguration Theory book. He was already reading third-year material, determined to be prepared for Hogwarts. Hogwarts? And the fact that for the first time in your life we won't be there to protect you. Hogwarts is supposed to be the safest place in Britain, Harry pointed out. Dumbledore's there. It is safe. But Harry, you'll be away from home for the first time. You'll be in classes with children who only know you as the boy who lived. Some will worship you, some will resent you, some will try to use you. You need to be ready. I know how to handle fame, Dad. We've been practicing for years. Fame, yes. But what about friendship? What about trusting people? What about being vulnerable enough to actually connect with your peers? Harry was quiet. James and Lily had trained him extensively in defense, caution, awareness. But they'd perhaps not focused enough on how to be a normal child. Your mother and I want you to have friends at Hogwarts, James continued. Real friends, not just people who want to be near the boy who lived. But that requires trust. It requires letting your guard down sometimes. You've been telling me never to let my guard down since I was 6. We've been telling you to be cautious around strangers and potential threats, Lily corrected, joining the conversation. But Harry, once you've determined someone is safe, once you've chosen to trust them, you need to let people in. What if I trust the wrong person? It was a valid fear. Peter Pettigrew had been James's friend, trusted completely, and had betrayed them to Voldemort. The lesson was obvious. Trust could be deadly. Then you learn from it and move forward, James said. But Harry, a life without trust is a life without connection. We don't want you to be so defended that you end up alone. Harry absorbed this, thinking, how do I know who to trust? You listen to your instincts, Lily said. You pay attention to how people treat others, not just you. You watch for consistency between words and actions, and you take small risks to test trust before giving it completely. Like Slytherin thinking, Harry said. Like smart thinking, Lily corrected. Houses don't own wisdom, Harry. Slytherin values cunning, which is useful. Gryffindor values bravery, which you'll need. Ravenclaw values knowledge, which you already pursue. Hufflepuff values loyalty, which matters. You can take the best from all of them. Which house do you think I'll be in? James and Lily exchanged glances. They'd discussed this question privately many times. Gryffindor, probably, James said. Both your mum and I were Gryffindors. You've got the courage and the tendency toward reckless bravery. But you've also got sharp strategic thinking that could be Slytherin, Lily added, and an intellectual curiosity that's very Ravenclaw. The Sorting Hat will choose based on your values, not just your traits. What if I ask it to choose a specific house? Then it will probably honor that request, James said. I've heard the hat takes your preference into account. But Harry, don't choose based on what you think we want. Choose based on where you'll grow most. The months leading up to Harry's 11th birthday were intensive. James drilled him on Hogwarts history, politics, and social dynamics. Lily taught him advanced spell theory so he'd be ahead in his classes. Sirius taught him practical pranking over Lily's objections and how to read people's intentions. You're going to be brilliant, Sirius said confidently during one of their sessions. You've got your dad's talent for mischief and your mum's brains. Hogwarts won't know what hit it. I'm more worried about Hogwarts hitting me, Harry admitted. Everyone's going to have expectations. So exceed them, Sirius said simply. Be so good they can't question you. Be so confident they can't shake you. Be yourself so completely that their expectations don't matter. Harry's Hogwarts letter arrived on his 11th birthday, July 31st, 1991. The entire Potter household, including Sirius, Remus, and several other Order members who'd come for the party, cheered. You're going to Hogwarts, James said, pulling Harry into a hug. My son is going to Hogwarts. Our son, Lily corrected, but she was crying happy tears. They went to Diagon Alley for supplies, and the shopping trip was exactly as chaotic as they'd expected. Harry was recognized immediately. Witches and wizards surrounded them, asking for autographs, trying to shake Harry's hand, crying with gratitude for ending the war. "This is overwhelming," Harry muttered to his mother, while the elderly witch kissed his forehead and blessed him repeatedly. "I know," Lily said sympathetically. "Just smile, be polite, and we'll get through it." At Ollivander's, the wand maker examined Harry with those unsettling silvery eyes. "Harry Potter," Ollivander said softly. "I've been expecting you." Harry tried 17 wands before one finally chose him. 11 inches, holly and phoenix feather. The moment he touched it, warmth spread through his arm and red and gold sparks erupted from the tip. "Curious," Ollivander murmured. "Very curious." "What's curious?" Harry asked. "The phoenix whose tail feather resides in your wand gave only one other feather. That wand's allegiance went to he who must not be named. Your wand and his are brothers, Mr. Potter." The implications hit Harry like a physical blow. His wand was connected to Voldemort's. Another link between them. This one deliberate, chosen by the wands themselves. "Is that bad?" James demanded. "Not bad," Ollivander said carefully. "Significant. The wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter. This wand chose your son for a reason. What that reason is remains to be seen." That night, Harry lay in bed holding his new wand, feeling its warmth, its rightness in his hand, and he wondered what it meant that his wand was brother to Voldemort's. Was it prophecy manifesting again? Another sign that he and the Dark Lord were bound together in ways that went beyond the scar? "Harry?" Lily knocked softly and entered his room. "Can't sleep?" "Thinking about the wand," Harry admitted. Lily sat on the edge of his bed. "The connection worries you." "Everything's connected," Harry said quietly. "The scar connects me to Voldemort. The prophecy connects us. Now the wands. It's like I can't escape being tied to him." "The ties exist," Lily agreed. "But Harry, they don't define you. Yes, you're connected to Voldemort through the scar and the prophecy and now the wand. But you're also connected to us, to your friends, to everyone who loves you. Those connections matter more." "The prophecy says neither can live while the other survives," Harry said. "That means I have to kill him. Really kill him. I'm 11 years old and I have to figure out how to kill the most powerful dark wizard in history. Not yet," Lily said firmly. "Right now you have to figure out how to be 11, how to make friends at Hogwarts, how to learn magic and play Quidditch and be a student. The war with Voldemort will come, but it doesn't have to be today. But I need to be ready." "You will be ready," Lily interrupted. "We've been preparing you your entire life." "But Harry, readiness doesn't mean you have to spend every moment training. You're allowed to be young. You're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to just be Harry Potter, not the boy who lived." "I don't know how to be just Harry Potter," Harry admitted. "I've always been the boy who lived." Lily felt her heart break a little. They'd tried so hard to give Harry a normal childhood alongside the training, but perhaps they'd failed. Perhaps the weight of prophecy and fame and preparation had crushed the normal child he could have been. "Then you figure it out at Hogwarts," Lily said gently. "You make friends who see you as Harry, not as the boy who lived. You find things you love that have nothing to do with defeating Voldemort. You discover who you are, separate from your destiny. And if I can't, then you keep trying. Because Harry, the prophecy says you're the only one who can defeat Voldemort. But it doesn't say that's all you are. You can be a friend, a student, a son, a person, and the chosen one. They're not mutually exclusive." Harry held his new wand tighter. "I'm scared, Mum. Of Hogwarts, of the expectations, of failing." "Good," Lily said, surprising him. "Fear means you understand the stakes. Fear means you'll be careful. Just don't let fear stop you from living." September 1st arrived with a mixture of excitement and dread. Platform 9 3/4 was crowded with families saying goodbye to students. Harry saw Neville Longbottom with his grandmother and waved. Saw several other children his age, some staring at him with recognition. "Remember," James said, pulling Harry aside for a final talk, "be yourself. Trust your instincts. Make real friends. And Harry, write to us. About everything. We want to hear about your classes and your friends and your adventures, not just the dangerous stuff." "I'll write every week," Harry promised. "And if anything seems wrong, if your scar hurts, if you sense danger, you tell Dumbledore immediately," Lily added. "Don't try to handle it alone." "I won't be alone," Harry said. "You've made sure of that. All the training, all the preparation. I'll be fine." Lily hugged him tightly, not wanting to let go. "I love you," so much. You're going to be brilliant. I love you too, Mum. Harry boarded the Hogwarts Express, found an empty compartment, and watched his parents on the platform until the train pulled away and they disappeared from view. For the first time in his life, Harry Potter was truly on his own, not defenseless. His parents had made sure of that. Not unprepared, he'd been training for years, but alone in a way he'd never experienced before. And as the train carried him toward Hogwarts and destiny in the future his prophecy demanded, Harry wondered if all his preparation would be enough, or if, despite everything his parents had done to protect him, he would still end up facing Voldemort alone when the time came. The scar on his forehead tingled, as it sometimes did, and Harry touched it, feeling the connection to the Dark Lord who was waiting somewhere out there, diminished but not destroyed, waiting to return, waiting for the prophecy to fulfill itself, waiting for Harry. Hogwarts years 1 through 4. The Hogwarts Express compartment door slid open just as Harry was settling in with a book on advanced defensive theory his mother had packed. "Excuse me, do you mind?" A boy with flaming red hair stood in the doorway, looking hopeful. "Everywhere else is full?" "Not at all," Harry said, gesturing to the empty seats. He recognized the Hare Weasley family. His father had mentioned Arthur Weasley worked at the Ministry, had a large family, supported Dumbledore during the war. "I'm Ron," the boy said, sitting down. "Ron Weasley? Harry Potter?" Ron's eyes went straight to the scar. "Blimey, you're really him? The boy who lived?" Harry suppressed a sigh. This happened every time. "Yes, but I mostly just go by Harry." "That's wicked. My whole family talks about you. You defeated you-know-who when you were a baby." "My mum defeated him, technically," Harry corrected, "with protection magic. I was just—" "Still, though?" Ron was looking at him with open admiration. "That's brilliant." Before Harry could respond, the compartment door opened again. A girl with bushy brown hair and an impatient expression stood there. "Has anyone seen a toad?" "A boy named Neville's lost one." "Haven't seen a toad," Ron said, the girl's eyes fixed on Harry. "Are you Harry Potter? I've read all about you. In modern magical history, and the rise and fall of the dark arts, and great wizarding events of the 20th century." "You're in books?" Ron asked, eyes wide. "Apparently," Harry said, feeling uncomfortable. His parents had warned him about this, about being reduced to a character in history books rather than treated like a real person. "I'm Hermione Granger," the girl continued, "and you should know that Neville's toad is named Trevor. If you see him, please let me know." She left before either boy could respond. "She seems," Ron started. "Intense," Harry finished. "But she knew about the books. My parents mentioned them but never showed me. I wonder what they say." The rest of the train ride was surprisingly pleasant. Ron was easy to talk to, funny, and seemed willing to treat Harry as a normal person rather than a celebrity. They discussed Quidditch. Ron supported the Chudley Cannons, Harry supported the Montrose Magpies like his father. Compared their knowledge of Hogwarts and shared chocolate frogs. When Harry's own face appeared on a chocolate frog card, Ron's jaw dropped. "You've got your own card. That's mental." Harry read the card which his parents had never let him see before. "Harry Potter, the boy who lived at 15 months old. Harry Potter survived the killing curse from Lord Voldemort, becoming the only known person to do so. The curse rebounded, destroying Voldemort's body and ending his reign of terror. Potter currently lives with his parents James and Lily Potter in Godric's Hollow." "It makes it sound so simple," Harry muttered. "Like Voldemort just disappeared and everything was fine afterward." "Wasn't it?" Ron asked, then seemed to realize his mistake. "Sorry, that's probably a stupid question. It's fine. And no, it wasn't simple. Voldemort's followers were still out there. Some of them wanted revenge on my family. My parents had to put up massive wards, hire security, train me to defend myself." Harry trailed off, realizing he was sharing more than he'd intended. "That sounds rough," Ron said sympathetically. "Having to grow up worried about dark wizards coming after you." "It had its moments," Harry said lightly, not wanting to dwell on the darker aspects of his childhood. The sorting ceremony was every bit as intimidating as his parents had described. Harry stood with the other first years, acutely aware that everyone in the Great Hall was staring at him. Whispers followed him everywhere. "That's Harry Potter. The boy who lived. I heard he can speak to snakes. I heard he killed you-know-who with wandless magic." The rumors were absurd, but Harry kept his expression neutral. His mother had taught him that reactions fed attention. Better to appear unbothered. "Potter, Harry," Professor McGonagall's voice rang out. Harry walked to the stool, sat down, and the sorting hat was placed on his head. "Ah, Harry Potter," a voice said in his mind. "I've been expecting you. Your parents both sat beneath me, you know. James went to Gryffindor without question. Lily took longer to sort. She could have been Ravenclaw, you know, but chose Gryffindor for her courage. Where do I belong?" Harry thought. Interesting question. You have your mother's brilliant mind. Ravenclaw would suit you well. Your father's courage and tendency toward heroics? Gryffindor, obviously. But I also sense cunning, ambition, a strategic mind that could excel in Slytherin, and loyalty that Hufflepuff would value. My parents were Gryffindor, Harry thought. But you said to choose where I'll grow most. Wise. You could flourish anywhere, Harry Potter. But where will you be most challenged? Where will you become who you need to be? Harry thought about his childhood. His parents had trained him, prepared him, given him knowledge and skills most first years didn't have. Gryffindor would be easy. He'd be surrounded by people who valued courage, who'd accept him readily. But would that challenge him? Ravenclaw, Harry thought. I want to learn everything I can. Knowledge is the best preparation for facing Voldemort when he returns. Ah, strategic thinking combined with intellectual hunger. Very well. Ravenlaw. The last word was shouted aloud. The Ravenclaw table erupted in cheers, but Harry caught sight of his parents in the crowd. James and Lily had come to watch the sorting, sitting at the staff table as Dumbledore's guests. They looked surprised, but proud. Harry sat at the Ravenclaw table, feeling both certain and uncertain. He'd made a choice based on strategy, on what he needed rather than what was expected. Very Slytherin reasoning, he realized with amusement. Brilliant, a Ravenclaw prefect said, shaking his hand. We got Harry Potter. Wait until the other houses hear about this. Classes began the next day. Harry quickly discovered that his parents' extensive preparation had given him a significant advantage. In Transfiguration, he successfully turned his match into a needle on the second try. The only first year besides Hermione Granger to succeed. Excellent work, Mr. Potter, Professor McGonagall said, and Harry felt a surge of pride. 10 points to Ravenclaw. In Charms, Professor Flitwick was delighted when Harry demonstrated perfect wand movement for the levitation charm. Muscle memory from years of practice with his toy wand. But it was defense against the dark arts that proved most interesting. Professor Quirrell was clearly incompetent, stuttering and nervous, teaching from a textbook rather than practical experience. During the first lesson, Harry raised his hand. Professor, this textbook says the best defense against a boggart is the ridiculous charm. But wouldn't a Patronus be more effective against certain dark creatures? Quirrell blinked at him. The P. Patronus charm is very advanced, Mr. P. Potter. Not so suitable for first years. But if we're learning defense, shouldn't we learn the most effective defenses? Even if we're not practicing them yet, understanding the theory would be valuable. Several students were staring at Harry. Hermione Granger was nodding vigorously. Mr. Potter makes an excellent point, she added. The curriculum seems designed for minimal competency rather than actual mastery. Quirrell looked flustered. The C curriculum is set by the Ministry, Miss G. Granger. Then perhaps the curriculum needs updating, Harry said. After class, Hermione approached him. That was brilliant. I've been thinking the same thing. The defense textbook is outdated and inadequate. My parents taught me that knowing the theory behind spells is as important as casting them, Harry explained. Quirrell seems to know the theory but has never applied it practically. Your parents are James and Lily Potter, Hermione said. Both war heroes. They must have taught you a lot. They did, Harry admitted. Maybe too much sometimes. It's hard to learn at the pace of normal first years when you've been reading third-year material for years. I know exactly what you mean, Hermione said enthusiastically. I've read all our textbooks already. Most of what we're learning in class is review. They fell into companionable conversation about spell theory and advanced magic, finding common ground in their shared love of learning. By the time they reached the Great Hall for lunch, they'd become friends. Ron found them discussing the theoretical applications of transfiguration for combat purposes. You two are mental, he said, but he was grinning. It's the first week and you're already talking about NEWT-level theory. It's interesting, Harry defended. Don't you want to understand how magic actually works? I want to understand how to pass my classes, Ron replied. You can keep the advanced theory. The trio formed quickly. Harry, Hermione, and Ron, bound together by friendship and complementary skills. Harry provided practical magical knowledge from his parents' training. Hermione offered encyclopedic theoretical understanding. Ron contributed strategic thinking about wizarding culture and social dynamics. When Halloween brought the troll incident, it was different from canon. Hermione wasn't in the bathroom crying. She was with Harry and Ron in the Great Hall. When Quirrell announced the troll in the dungeons, Harry immediately recognized the tactical problem. "The Slytherin dormitory is in the dungeons," he said urgently to Professor McGonagall. "The students need to evacuate upward, not be sent down to their common rooms." McGonagall's eyes widened. "You're absolutely right. All students remain here while prefects check the evacuation routes." The troll was found and defeated by the professors before it could harm anyone. Dumbledore publicly thanked Harry for his tactical awareness. "Mr. Potter's quick thinking prevented a potential tragedy," Dumbledore announced. 20 points to Ravenclaw. Later, in the Ravenclaw common room, Harry's housemates celebrated. But Harry was thoughtful. "A troll doesn't just wander into Hogwarts," he said to Hermione. "Someone let it in." "But why?" "Maybe it was a distraction," Hermione suggested. "While everyone was dealing with the troll, someone could access areas they normally couldn't, like the third-floor corridor that's forbidden," Harry said. "My parents told me Dumbledore's hiding something there." "Something important." "How would your parents know?" "Because my dad asked Dumbledore directly. When you're James Potter and your son is attending Hogwarts, you want to know what dangers might be in the castle." Harry wrote to his parents that night, "Dear Mum and Dad, there was a troll in the school today. Don't worry, I wasn't hurt and neither was anyone else. But I think it was a distraction for something else. What's being hidden on the third floor? And should I be worried? Classes are good but easy. I'm already ahead in most subjects because of everything you taught me." Made 2 friends. Ron Weasley, Arthur's son, and Hermione Granger, Muggle-born, brilliant at theory. "The Sorting Hat put me in Ravenclaw. Hope you're not disappointed. Love, Harry." His parents' response came the next morning via their family owl. "Harry, we're not disappointed. We're proud. Ravenclaw suits you perfectly. Trust your instincts about the third floor. Something is being protected there, but Dumbledore assured us it's safe. If you're concerned, talk to him directly. You have that right as someone who's proven he can think tactically. Be careful. Trust your friends. Write often. Love, Mum and Dad. P.S. Ravenclaw. My son's a Ravenclaw. Your mother won't stop grinning. She always said you got her brains." Dad Harry smiled at the postscript. His parents' support made the distance from home more bearable. As the term progressed, Harry noticed peculiarities about Professor Quirrell. The man seemed nervous around Harry specifically, avoided eye contact, and once Harry caught him muttering to himself in a language that sounded like Parseltongue. "I think Quirrell's up to something," Harry told Hermione during one of their study sessions. "Evidence?" Hermione asked. "Ever practical? Gut feeling. The way he looks at me sometimes. And I think I heard him speaking Parseltongue once." "You can recognize Parseltongue?" My parents made sure I could identify it. They said it's a rare gift that runs in certain families, and most Parselmouths in recent history have been dark wizards. If Quirrell speaks it, then he might be connected to you-know-who, Hermione finished. "But you-know-who is gone." "His body is gone," Harry corrected. My parents explained that his soul survived somehow. "He's out there, diminished but not destroyed. What if he's trying to return? What if whatever's on the third floor is something he needs?" They investigated, carefully and systematically. Hermione researched in the library. Ron used his brother's knowledge of Hogwarts secrets to map possible routes. Harry used strategic thinking learned from his parents to analyze Quirrell's movements. By December, they'd pieced together that the Philosopher's Stone was being hidden at Hogwarts, Nicholas Flamel's legendary artifact that produced the elixir of life. "If Voldemort wants to return," Harry said, "he'd need a body. The stone could help with that." "But Dumbledore's protecting it," Hermione protested. "Surely he knows the danger. Dumbledore's brilliant, but he's not infallible. My dad told me about the First War. Dumbledore made mistakes, trusted the wrong people sometimes. What if he's wrong about who's after the stone?" Harry wrote to his parents again, explaining his suspicions. Their response was immediate and took the form of an emergency flu call. Harry Lily's face appeared in the Ravenclaw common room fireplace, causing several students to stare. "Tell me everything about your concerns with Professor Quirrell," Harry explained. The parcel tongue, the suspicious behavior, the connection to the stone. Lily listened intently, her expression growing more concerned. "I'm telling Dumbledore," she said firmly. "And Harry, promise me you won't investigate this alone. If Quirrell is connected to Voldemort." "I won't be alone," Harry promised. "I have Ron and Hermione. And Mum? I've been training for this my whole life. I can handle it." "Training and facing actual dark wizards are different things," Lily said. "Promise me you'll be careful." "I promise." Lily and James did speak to Dumbledore, who increased security around the stone but couldn't remove Quirrell without proof. The professor was protected by his position and the ministry's bureaucracy. When June arrived and Quirrell made his move to steal the stone, Harry was prepared. He'd spent the year studying the protections, understanding the challenges, planning how to stop someone from reaching the stone. But he didn't have to go alone through the trapdoor. His parents had taught him better than that. "We're going to Dumbledore," Harry told Ron and Hermione when they realized Quirrell was making his attempt that night. "And we're telling him everything we know. That's what you do when you have information about a threat. You tell the people who can actually stop it." They went to Dumbledore, who listened to their evidence and acted immediately. Quirrell was caught attempting to steal the stone, was revealed to be harboring Voldemort's spirit in the back of his head, and was subdued by Dumbledore before he could complete the theft. Harry never faced Voldemort directly, never touched Quirrell and burned him with his mother's protection, never risked his life for the stone, because James and Lily had raised him to be strategic, not reckless. To seek help when facing dangers beyond his capability. To trust adults who'd proven themselves trustworthy. "You did exactly right," Dumbledore told Harry afterward. "You gathered intelligence, analyzed the threat, and reported it to someone with the authority and power to intervene. That's mature tactical thinking, Mr. Potter." "My parents taught me that heroics get you killed," Harry said. "Strategy keeps you alive." "Wise parents," Dumbledore said. "Though I suspect they also taught you when heroics are necessary." They did, but this wasn't one of those times. First year ended with Ravenclaw winning the House Cup, partly due to Harry's contributions, with Harry having proven himself an excellent student and tactical thinker, and with Voldemort's first attempt to return being thwarted. At home that summer, James and Lily were both proud and concerned. "You handled it perfectly," James said. "You identified the threat, gathered evidence, reported it properly." "That's exactly what we hoped you'd do." "But I didn't face Voldemort," Harry said. "The prophecy says I'm the only one who can defeat him. What if I needed to confront him and I backed down?" "You made the tactical choice to involve Dumbledore rather than face a possessed professor as a first year," Lily corrected. "That's not backing down, that's being smart. Harry, the prophecy doesn't demand you fight Voldemort every time you encounter him. It means that ultimately, you're the only one who can kill him permanently. But that doesn't mean every encounter has to be a duel to the death." "Your mother's right," James added. "You're 11. You don't have to defeat Voldemort yet. You just have to survive until you're ready." Second year brought the Chamber of Secrets crisis. Messages written in blood, students being petrified, fear spreading through the school, and Harry discovered something he'd never known about himself. He could speak Parseltongue. It manifested during a dueling club session, when a snake appeared and Harry instinctively told it to leave a student alone. The entire school heard him hissing at the snake in a language none of them understood. The reaction was immediate and hostile. Students avoided Harry in corridors. Whispers followed him everywhere. Harry Potter was the heir of Slytherin. Harry Potter was a dark wizard. Harry Potter was going to purge Muggleborns. Harry wrote to his parents in distress. "I can speak Parseltongue. I never knew. The snake was there and I told it to back off and everyone heard me. They think I'm dark. They think I opened the chamber. Mum, Dad, what does this mean?" His parents' response came within hours. "Harry, we're coming to Hogwarts. Don't worry about Parseltongue. It's just a language. Yes, it's associated with dark wizards, but abilities aren't inherently dark. How you use them determines morality. We'll explain everything. Love." Mum and Dad, James and Lily arrived at Hogwarts and requested a meeting with Harry and Dumbledore. "The Parseltongue likely came from Voldemort," Dumbledore explained gently. "When the curse struck you, Harry, and a piece of Voldemort's soul attached to yours, you may have gained some of his abilities. Parseltongue appears to be one of them." "So I have Voldemort's power inside me?" Harry asked, feeling sick. "You have a connection to him," Dumbledore corrected. "That's not the same as having his power. The ability is yours to use as you choose. Can we remove it? Lily asked. The connection, the soul fragment? Not without considerable risk to Harry, Dumbledore said. The soul piece is attached to his scar. Removing it would likely kill him. Then we learn to manage it, James decided. Harry, parcel tongue doesn't make you dark. It's just another tool. We'll figure out how to use it properly. But the school's fear didn't abate. Students continued avoiding Harry. Even some Ravenclaws looked at him with suspicion. When Hermione was petrified while researching the chamber, Harry felt personal guilt and rage. She'd been helping him, had been his friend, and now she was stoned because of the air. I'm going to find the chamber, Harry told Ron. And I'm going to stop whoever opened it. Your parents said not to be reckless, Ron reminded him. I'm not being reckless. I'm being strategic. Hermione left us clues. She always does. We just need to find them. They found her notes about the basilisk, pieced together that the monster moved through pipes, identified Moaning Myrtle's bathroom as the likely entrance, and then Ginny Weasley was taken into the chamber, and Harry had no choice but to act. He wrote a quick note to his parents. Ginny Weasley taken into chamber. I know where the entrance is. Going in to save her. I'm sorry. Then he and Ron descended into the chamber, armed with their wands and Harry's Parseltongue ability to open the entrance. The confrontation with Tom Riddle's memory and the basilisk was brutal. Harry used everything his parents had taught him, dodged the basilisk's killing gaze using mirrors and reflections, used strategic thinking to identify the diary as the source of Riddle's power, called for help when he was overwhelmed. Fawkes arrived with the sorting hat. When Gryffindor's sword appeared from the hat, Harry killed the basilisk by driving the blade through the roof of its mouth into its brain. Then he stabbed the diary with a basilisk fang, destroying Riddle's memory and saving Ginny. But not before the basilisk fang had pierced his arm, injecting venom that should have killed him within seconds. Fawkes saved him again, crying tears that healed the venom. Harry survived, Ginny was safe, and the chamber was closed. His parents arrived at the hospital wing within an hour, having received his note and immediately rushed to Hogwarts. You could have died, Lily said, her voice shaking as she held Harry. You fought a 60-foot basilisk and nearly died from venom. But I didn't die, Harry pointed out. I saved Ginny and destroyed the diary and survived. That's what matters. That's not all that matters, James said firmly. Harry, you went into mortal danger without backup. That's not strategic. That's reckless. A student was dying, Harry argued. There wasn't time to get backup. Every second mattered. He's right, Dumbledore said quietly, having entered the hospital wing. Miss Weasley was minutes from death. Harry made the only choice available, and he prevailed, using tactical thinking, magical skill, and considerable bravery. Don't encourage him, Lily said sharply. Dumbledore, he's 12. He shouldn't have to fight basilisks and dark wizards. No, he shouldn't, Dumbledore agreed. But the prophecy doesn't care about what should be. It only cares about what is. Third year brought Sirius Black's escape from Azkaban. Except in this timeline, Sirius had never been imprisoned. But Remus Lupin joined the staff as defense against the dark arts professor, and Harry finally had a competent teacher in that subject. Uncle Remus is teaching, Harry wrote excitedly to his parents. Finally, someone who actually knows defensive magic. Lupin was indeed excellent. He taught practical defense, had students face boggarts, and practiced Patronuses, emphasized real-world applications over theory. But he also gave Harry preferential treatment, which other students noticed. Professor Lupin helps you more than the rest of us, a Slytherin complained. Professor Lupin is my parents' friend, Harry said honestly. He's known me since I was born. Of course he pays more attention to me. The complaint reached Lupin, who pulled Harry aside. I've been showing favoritism, Lupin admitted. I should be treating you like any other student. But I'm not any other student, Harry pointed out. I'm the boy who lived. My parents fought in the war with you, and I have a connection to Voldemort that makes me a unique case. Treating me exactly like everyone else would be ignoring reality. When did you get so wise? My parents raised me to think strategically. Pretending I'm normal when I'm not doesn't help anyone. Lupin taught Harry the Patronus charm that year, and Harry's Patronus took the form of a stag, just like his father's Animagus form. That's remarkable, Lupin said, watching the silvery stag gallop around the room. A corporeal Patronus at 13. Your parents will be proud. They've been preparing me for Dementors since I was 10, Harry explained. Mum said I needed to be ready for soul-draining creatures. Your mother is a fierce woman. She's terrifying when she thinks I'm in danger. The year passed relatively peacefully. No dark wizards trying to return, no ancient monsters being unleashed. Harry studied, learned, grew stronger. His parents visited regularly, monitoring his progress and adding to his training during holidays. Fourth year brought the Tri-Wizard tournament and everything changed again. When Harry's name came out of the Goblet of Fire despite the age line, despite him not entering, James and Lily immediately recognized it as a threat. Someone entered you, James said during an emergency visit to Hogwarts. Someone powerful enough to fool the goblet. This is a trap. Can't I just refuse to compete? Harry asked. The goblet creates a binding magical contract, Dumbledore explained. Refusing would cost Harry his magic. He must compete. Then we prepare him to survive, Lily decided. Every task, we research and train and make sure he's ready. They did exactly that. When the first task was announced, dragons, James and Lily coached Harry extensively on dragon behaviors, weak points, and evasion tactics. Use your seeker skills, James advised. Don't try to outpower the dragon. Outfly it. Harry successfully retrieved the golden egg by summoning his firebolt and using his flying ability to evade the Hungarian horntail. The crowd went wild. The second task required rescuing someone from the lake. Harry was unsurprised to find it was his parents. Both James and Lily were taken as his most precious people. He rescued them using gillyweed, provided by Neville, who'd read about it in herbology texts. But he also rescued Gabrielle Delacour when Fleur couldn't complete the task, which earned him extra points for moral fiber. You saved everyone, Lily said afterward, proud but concerned. Not just us, Harry. You can't save everyone. I had time, Harry said. I wasn't going to leave her there. The third task, the maze, was where everything went wrong. Harry and Cedric reached the cup simultaneously. Both grabbed it, were transported to the graveyard, and found Peter Pettigrew waiting with a bundle that contained a grotesque infant-like form. Voldemort was returning. The ritual was horrific. Bone of the father, flesh of the servant, blood of the enemy. Pettigrew murdered Cedric immediately. Harry tried to fight but was bound to Tom Riddle's gravestone, bleeding from where Pettigrew had cut his arm for the ritual. The blood of the enemy forcibly taken, Pettigrew chanted, and added Harry's blood to the cauldron. Voldemort rose from the cauldron, fully formed and terrifyingly real. Harry Potter, Voldemort hissed. The boy who lived. How fitting that your blood should restore me to power. Harry had been trained for this his entire life, but training and reality were catastrophically different. Voldemort cast Cruciatus. Harry screamed. The pain was beyond anything he'd imagined. When Voldemort released the curse and called Death Eaters to witness his return, Harry focused on the one thing his parents had drilled into him: survival. Voldemort wanted to duel, wanted to prove himself superior in front of his followers. Harry used that. Afraid to face me wandless? Harry taunted, buying time. Need to prove you can beat a 14-year-old? Voldemort's red eyes narrowed. You have your mother's impudence. Very well. I will demonstrate the inferiority of your blood and your training. The duel was brutal. Harry used every defensive technique James had taught him, every strategic principle Lily had instilled. He dodged, blocked, rolled behind gravestones for cover. When their wands connected, brothers, as Ollivander had predicted, priori incantatum occurred. Ghostly echoes of Voldemort's victims appeared. Cedric, Bertha Jorkins, Frank Bryce, an old man, and finally, James. Lily? Harry gasped, seeing his parents' shades emerge from Voldemort's wand. But they weren't dead. These were echoes from the night Voldemort attacked when Harry was a baby. The night the spell had struck James first, had hit Lily, had rebounded. Run, Harry, James's echo said. You can't beat him yet. Run. We're proud of you, Lily's echo added. Now run. Harry ran, grabbed Cedric's body and the cup, activated the port key, returned to Hogwarts. The chaos that followed was overwhelming. Harry collapsed in Dumbledore's arms, babbling about Voldemort's return, about the ritual, about Cedric's death. Cedric Diggory's parents screamed in grief, and James and Lily Potter, who'd been watching from the stands, ran to their son. Voldemort's back, Harry gasped, as his mother pulled him close. He's back and he used my blood and I couldn't stop him and Cedric's dead. Shh, Lily soothed, though her hands were shaking. You survived. That's what matters. Cedric didn't survive. I know, sweetheart. But you did. You came back. The Ministry tried to deny Voldemort's return. Fudge called Harry a liar, claimed Cedric died in a tragic accident, said Voldemort was still gone. But James and Lily Potter wouldn't tolerate it. They held a press conference, had Harry testify under Veritaserum to prove his truthfulness, and forced the Ministry to acknowledge the threat. Voldemort has returned, Lily announced to the Daily Prophet. My son faced him in combat and survived. The war isn't over, it's just beginning again. The wizarding world fractured. Some believed the Potters. Others sided with the Ministry's denial, but the truth was out. Voldemort was back, and Harry Potter, the boy who lived, would have to face him again, just as the prophecy had always said. 5th year through the final battle. The prophecy fulfilled. The summer after Voldemort's return was the worst of Harry's life. He'd watched Cedric Diggory die, had been tortured with the Cruciatus curse, had dueled the Dark Lord and barely escaped, and now he was home at Godric's Hollow with his parents, surrounded by Order of the Phoenix members discussing war strategies while he tried to process trauma. We need to take Harry out of the country, Lily argued during one Order meeting. Australia, America, somewhere Voldemort can't reach him easily. Running won't change the prophecy, Dumbledore said gently. The connection between Harry and Voldemort transcends distance. Then we keep him here and train him, James countered. Properly train him. Everything we've taught him hasn't been enough. He needs actual combat experience. Advanced defensive magic. Dueling tactics beyond what Hogwarts teaches. He's 15, Remus interjected. James, he's a child. He's the chosen one, James said harshly. The prophecy doesn't care that he's 15. Voldemort certainly doesn't care. If Harry has to fight, he needs to be ready. Harry sat in the corner of the room, listening to them debate his future like he wasn't there. His scar throbbed constantly now, a persistent reminder of the connection to Voldemort that had become impossible to ignore. Can I say something? Harry asked quietly. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to him. I need to learn occlumency, Harry said. The connection is getting stronger. I can feel him sometimes. Emotions, fragments of thoughts. If I don't learn to shield my mind, Voldemort will be able to use it against me. Agreed, Snape said from the doorway. Everyone turned to find the potions master standing there, his expression as severe as ever. The Dark Lord will exploit the connection. Potter needs occlumency training immediately. You're offering to teach him? James asked, tension evident in his voice. James and Snape's animosity from school had never fully resolved. I'm the most qualified, Snape said coldly. I've practiced occlumency for decades against the Dark Lord himself. If Potter is serious about learning, I'll teach him. I'm serious, Harry said immediately. And so began the most grueling magical training of Harry's life. Snape was a harsh teacher, pushing Harry to build mental defenses through repeated legislamancy attacks. Each session felt like having his mind violated, his memories exposed and examined. Your mind is undisciplined, Snape criticized after one session. You let emotions control you. Anger, fear, grief, all of these are weapons the Dark Lord will use. I'm trying, Harry said through gritted teeth. Trying isn't sufficient. The Dark Lord won't accept excuses when he invades your mind. James also ramped up Harry's combat training. They dueled daily, not practice dueling, but serious combat with the intention to win. James didn't hold back, using spells that could seriously injure if Harry didn't defend properly. In real combat, your enemy won't give you chances, James said, hitting Harry with a stinging hex when his shield wavered. You defend or you suffer. Those are the only options. Lily focused on strategic thinking and magical theory. She taught Harry about Horcruxes, dark objects containing fragments of soul that made a wizard effectively immortal. Voldemort used them, Lily explained, showing Harry restricted texts from the Black family library. That's how he survived the rebounded curse. His soul was anchored to this world by Horcruxes. How many? Harry asked. We don't know. But Harry, destroying them is the only way to make Voldemort mortal enough to kill permanently. How do you destroy a Horcrux? Basilisk venom, fiend fire, something destructive enough to damage an object beyond magical repair. The piece of soul can't survive if its container is destroyed. Harry absorbed this information, understanding finally why he'd survived so many encounters with Voldemort. The Dark Lord was tethered to life by multiple anchors. Killing his body meant nothing if his soul fragments remained. The diary I destroyed 2nd year, Harry realized. That was a Horcrux. Yes, you destroyed one without knowing it. But there are likely more. September brought fifth year, and Dolores Umbridge, the Ministry's attempt to control Hogwarts by installing a High Inquisitor who denied Voldemort's return and suppressed any defensive training. Wands away, Umbridge simpered during the first Defense Against the Dark Arts class. We'll be learning defensive theory only. No practical magic is necessary. That's insane, Harry said immediately. Voldemort is back. We need to know how to defend ourselves practically, not just theoretically. You will address him as you know who, Umbridge said, her smile never wavering, and you will not spread lies about his return. It's not a lie. I was there. I fought him. Detention, Mr. Baver. Potter. Tonight, my office. The detention involved a blood quill, a torture device that carved words into Harry's hand as he wrote. I must not tell lies was etched into his skin, bleeding and healing and bleeding again. Harry endured it silently, using the occlumency techniques Snape had taught him to compartmentalize the pain. But when he returned to Ravenclaw Tower with his scarred hand, his housemates noticed. She tortured you, Hermione said, horrified. That's illegal. Tell that to the Ministry, Harry replied grimly. Word spread quickly. Students were outraged that Umbridge was using illegal punishment methods, but the Ministry backed her completely, and Umbridge's power only grew. We need to learn defense ourselves, Harry told his friends. If Umbridge won't teach us, we teach each other. Thus Dumbledore's army was formed, but with Harry as a far more competent instructor than in canon. Years of training from his parents and combat experience from facing Voldemort made him an effective teacher. Defense isn't just spells, Harry explained during their first meeting in the Room of Requirement. It's tactics, awareness, strategy. You need to think 3 moves ahead, like chess. Anticipate your opponent's actions and counter before they strike. He taught them shield charms, stunning spells, disarming charms, and tactical movement. He emphasized that magic was only part of combat. Positioning, timing, and mental discipline mattered equally. My parents taught me that surviving isn't about being the most powerful, Harry said. It's about being smarter than your enemy. Use your environment. Create advantages. Fight dirty if you have to. Winning matters more than honor. Some students, particularly the Gryffindors, looked uncomfortable with this pragmatic approach, but Hermione nodded approvingly. That's very Slytherin thinking, she observed. It's very survival thinking, Harry corrected. Houses don't matter when you're facing the killing curse. The DA flourished under Harry's instruction. Students learned practical defense and gained confidence. Even Neville Longbottom, always clumsy and uncertain, showed remarkable improvement. You're a natural at this, Harry told Neville after a particularly good practice session. You think defensively, always protecting others. That's valuable in combat. Really? Neville asked, surprised. Really, your instinct is to shield rather than attack. That makes you an excellent defender. We need people like that. But while Harry was teaching defense, Voldemort was growing stronger. Harry's scar burned more frequently, and through the connection he caught glimpses of Voldemort's thoughts and plans. One night in December, Harry had a vision so vivid it felt real. Arthur Weasley being attacked by Nagini in the Department of Mysteries. He woke screaming, his scar on fire. Dad! Mum, Harry shouted, stumbling out of his 4-poster bed. His parents arrived via emergency portkey. They'd given Dumbledore authorization to summon them if Harry was in danger. What happened? James demanded. Weasley, Arthur Weasley. He's been attacked. Snakebite, Department of Mysteries. He's bleeding out. Lily immediately sent a Patronus to the order. Arthur's been attacked. Department of Mysteries. Send help immediately. The order responded. Found Arthur exactly where Harry had seen him. Saved his life, but the implications were terrifying. Voldemort used the connection, Dumbledore explained afterward. He sent you that vision deliberately. Wanted you to see Mr. Weasley dying. Wanted you to feel responsible. But why? Harry asked. To test the connection. To see if he could manipulate you through it. And Harry, he succeeded. You saw what he wanted you to see. But I saved Mr. Weasley's life, this time. But what happens when Voldemort uses the connection to send false visions? To lure you into traps? The occlumency lessons must intensify. Snape's occlumency instruction became brutal. He invaded Harry's mind repeatedly, forcing Harry to watch his worst memories. Cedric's death, the Cruciatus curse, his parents nearly dying when he was a baby. "Clear your mind," Snape commanded. "Empty your thoughts." The Dark Lord won't be gentle when he attacks." "I'm trying," Harry shouted back. "Trying fails. You either succeed or you give Voldemort access to everything in your head." One session went badly wrong. Harry, frustrated and exhausted, pushed back against Snape's legilimency and accidentally invaded Snape's mind instead. He saw memories. Young Severus being tormented by James Potter and Sirius Black at school. Snape calling Lily a mudblood in 5th year. Snape begging Dumbledore to protect Lily Potter from Voldemort. Snape's devastation when Lily died, no, when he thought she'd died. "Out!" Snape roared, physically pushing Harry away. "Get out of my mind!" "You loved my mother," Harry said, stunned. "That's none of your concern. You loved her and my father bullied you and she married him and you still tried to protect her." Silence. Snape's wand was trembling. "Your parents' relationship is not your business. The lessons are over. Get out." Harry stumbled out of Snape's office, his mind reeling. His father, James Potter, the war hero, the loving dad who'd trained Harry his whole life, had been a bully at school, had tormented Snape for years. That night, Harry confronted his father. "Did you bully Snape at school?" James went very still. "Where did you hear that?" "I saw it. In Snape's memories during occlumency. You and Sirius tormented him, called him Snivelus, hexed him publicly, humiliated him." James was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Yes, I did, and I'm not proud of it." "Why?" "Because I was an arrogant teenager who thought being popular and talented at Quidditch meant I could treat people however I wanted. Because Snape was an easy target, he was interested in dark magic, didn't have many friends, and I didn't like him. So I made his life miserable." "Mum married you anyway?" "Your mother didn't know the full extent of what I'd done until 7th year. When she found out, she was furious. Nearly ended things between us. I had to prove I'd changed, that I wasn't that person anymore." "And Snape loved her," Harry said quietly. James nodded. "He did. They were childhood friends before Hogwarts. I destroyed that friendship through my bullying and his choices regarding dark magic. When Lily died, when we thought we'd died, Snape was devastated. He's been protecting you partly because of his love for her. That's why he's so harsh with me. I look like you." "Yes, you're a living reminder of everything he lost and everything he hated. But Harry, he's still teaching you occlumency because it's necessary. His past with me doesn't change his commitment to stopping Voldemort." The conversation left Harry unsettled. His father wasn't the flawless hero Harry had imagined. James had been flawed, cruel even, before maturing into the man he was now. "People change," Lily told Harry later. "Your father was a bully at 15. By 17, he'd grown past that. By the time we married, he was a good man. Don't judge him solely by his worst moments." "But he made Snape's life terrible." "Yes, and your father regrets that deeply. He's apologized to Severus multiple times over the years. They'll never be friends, but they've achieved professional respect. That's all we can ask." In February, Harry had another vision. Sirius Black being tortured in the Department of Mysteries by Voldemort. The vision was so vivid, so real, that Harry was certain it was happening. But this time, Harry had learned caution. "I need to verify," Harry told Hermione and Ron. "Before we rush in, I need to check if Sirius is actually in danger." They used the Flu network to contact Grimmauld Place. Sirius answered immediately, safe and unharmed. "I'm fine, Harry," Sirius said, confused. "Why would you think otherwise?" "Vision," Harry said shortly. "Voldemort showed me you being tortured, wanted me to rush to save you." "It's a trap," Sirius realized. "He's luring you to the Department of Mysteries." "I know. But why? What's there that he wants?" Dumbledore answered that question in an emergency meeting. "The prophecy. The full prophecy about you and Voldemort is stored in the Department of Mysteries. He wants you to retrieve it for him. Why can't he get it himself? Only the people mentioned in a prophecy can retrieve it from the Hall of Prophecy. You or Voldemort. No one else can touch it." "Then we destroy it," Harry said immediately. "If Voldemort wants it, we make sure he never gets it." "That's strategically sound," James agreed. "But Harry, going to the Department of Mysteries is exactly what Voldemort wants. Then we go prepared." with backup, with a plan. The Order of the Phoenix agreed to help. This time, when Harry went to the Department of Mysteries, he wasn't leading a handful of students into danger. He was accompanied by experienced fighters, Mad-Eye Moody, Kingsley Shacklebolt, Remus Lupin, and his own parents. The battle in the Department of Mysteries was chaotic and brutal. Death Eaters were waiting, led by Lucius Malfoy. They wanted the prophecy, wanted Harry to retrieve it so they could learn its full content. "The Dark Lord wishes to hear the prophecy, Potter," Malfoy said, his wand trained on Harry. "Take it from the shelf and give it to me." "I don't think so," Harry replied, remembering every tactical lesson his parents had taught him. He was positioned behind cover, had escape routes planned, wasn't standing exposed like an idiot. The Death Eaters attacked. Spells flew in every direction as the battle raged through the Hall of Prophecy. Harry fought with everything he'd learned, dodging curses, returning fire, using the environment strategically. He wasn't trying to defeat Death Eaters. He was trying to survive long enough for the Order to win. Lily dueled Bellatrix Lestrange with terrifying skill, matching the Death Eater curse for curse. James fought alongside Sirius, their old Marauder partnership evident in their coordinated attacks. But in the chaos, a Death Eater fired a curse at Harry that he didn't dodge in time. It struck his chest, and Harry went down hard. "Harry!" James's scream cut through the battle. Lily was at Harry's side instantly, checking for a pulse, assessing the damage. The curse had been a dark, cutting hex. Harry was bleeding severely from a chest wound. "Stay with me," Lily commanded, her hands glowing with healing magic. "Harry, look at me. Stay conscious." Did Voldemort get it? Forget the prophecy. Focus on breathing. The Order won the battle. The Death Eaters were driven off or captured. But Voldemort himself appeared at the last moment, engaging Dumbledore in a spectacular duel that destroyed half the atrium. Harry, barely conscious from blood loss, watched the two greatest wizards alive fight. Voldemort was vicious, creative, ruthless. Dumbledore was controlled, strategic, using ancient magic that Voldemort couldn't match. The duel ended in stalemate when Ministry officials arrived and witnessed Voldemort's presence. The Dark Lord fled rather than face arrest. But the damage was done. The Ministry could no longer deny his return. Harry woke in St. Mungo's 3 days later. His parents were at his bedside, both looking exhausted. "The prophecy?" Harry asked immediately. "Destroyed in the battle," James said. "Voldemort never heard it." "But I need to know what it says," Harry protested. "It's about me and Voldemort. I have a right to know." Dumbledore appeared in the doorway. "Then I shall tell you. I am the only other person who heard the prophecy in full." He recited it. "The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches. Born to those who have thrice defied him. Born as the 7th month dies, and the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal. But he will have power the Dark Lord knows not, and either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "Neither can live while the other survives," Harry repeated softly. "One of us has to kill the other." "Yes," Dumbledore said gently. "The prophecy demands it." "But prophecies can be self-fulfilling," Lily argued. "If Voldemort hadn't heard about it, hadn't tried to kill Harry as a baby, none of this would have happened." "Perhaps," Dumbledore agreed. "But it did happen. Voldemort marked Harry as his equal. The connection exists. The prophecy is in motion." "What's the power Voldemort knows not?" Harry asked. "Love," Dumbledore said simply. "Your mother's love protected you as a baby. Your parents' love has shaped you into someone capable of compassion, sacrifice, and connection. Voldemort understands none of these things. That is your advantage. Love isn't going to help me kill him. On the contrary, Harry, love is the only thing that will allow you to kill him without becoming him." 5th year ended with Voldemort's return being publicly acknowledged, the Ministry in disarray, and the wizarding world preparing for war. Harry spent the summer training intensively with his parents and the Order. 6th year brought Professor Slughorn to teach potions and Dumbledore's private lessons with Harry about Voldemort's past. "To defeat Voldemort, you must understand him," Dumbledore explained, showing Harry memories of Tom Riddle's childhood, his time at Hogwarts, his transformation into the Dark Lord. But more importantly, Dumbledore revealed the truth about Horcruxes. "Voldemort created multiple Horcruxes," Dumbledore said. "I believe 6, plus the fragment of soul in his body. We've already destroyed 2, the diary and a ring I found over the summer. 4 remain: a locket, a cup, the snake Nagini, and one more we haven't identified. And we have to destroy all of them before Voldemort can be killed permanently, Harry finished. Yes. That is the task ahead of us. Harry told his parents everything. Together, they began hunting Horcruxes. James used his contacts and wealth to search for artifacts connected to Voldemort. Lily researched destruction methods. Harry provided information from Dumbledore's lessons. By Christmas, they'd located the locket, hidden in a cave, protected by Inferi and a poison that forced the drinker to relive their worst memories. Dumbledore and Harry retrieved it together, though the poison nearly killed Dumbledore. The locket must be destroyed, Dumbledore said weakly afterward. But I've been cursed, Harry. The ring Horcrux, it was trapped. The curse is killing me slowly. I have perhaps a year left. We'll find a cure, Harry insisted. There is no cure, but there is a plan. Dumbledore's eyes were grave. Severus Snape has agreed to kill me when the time comes. It will preserve his cover as a Death Eater, will prevent Draco Malfoy from destroying his soul by committing murder, and will ensure the Elder Wand's power dies with me. You're planning your own death? I'm planning strategic advantage. Harry, when I die, you must trust Severus completely. He's been working for our side since before you were born. Everything he does will be to protect you and defeat Voldemort. The plan unfolded as Dumbledore predicted. Draco Malfoy, forced by Voldemort to kill Dumbledore or watch his family die, couldn't complete the task. Snape arrived and cast the killing curse, murdering Dumbledore on the astronomy tower while Harry watched from beneath an invisibility cloak, held immobile by Dumbledore's last spell. Snape fled with the Death Eaters. The school mourned. And Harry was left holding Dumbledore's final message. Trust Severus. The snake must die last. You are the final Horcrux. To defeat Voldemort, you must be willing to die. No, Lily said when Harry told his parents. Absolutely not. You're not dying. Dumbledore said I'm a Horcrux, Harry insisted. The night Voldemort tried to kill me, a piece of his soul latched onto mine. That's why I can speak Parseltongue, why I see visions through his eyes. To destroy all the Horcruxes, I have to die. Then we find another way, James said firmly. But there was no other way. Harry knew it even if his parents refused to accept it. 7th year didn't happen at Hogwarts. Voldemort had taken control of the Ministry, installed Severus Snape as headmaster, and begun persecuting Muggleborns. Harry, Hermione, and Ron went into hiding to hunt Horcruxes, but this time with support from James and Lily. The hunt took months. They destroyed the locket using Gryffindor's sword, retrieved from the bottom of a frozen pond. They broke into Gringotts for the cup, a terrifying raid that ended with them escaping on a dragon. They discovered the diadem was hidden at Hogwarts. Throughout it all, Harry felt the connection to Voldemort growing stronger. He saw through the Dark Lord's eyes more frequently, felt his emotions, understood his plans. The Horcrux in his scar was active, alive, influencing him. We need to get it out of him, Lily said desperately. There has to be a way. Dark magic has dark solutions, Hermione said quietly. Maybe we need to think like Slytherins, use dark methods for good purposes. They researched obsessively, found references to soul extraction rituals, to magical surgery that could separate connected souls, to ancient magic that predated Horcruxes. But every method required one common element. The Horcrux host had to willingly release the soul fragment, had to want it gone more than they wanted to live. The Battle of Hogwarts came in May. Voldemort's forces attacked the school. Students and professors defended. The Order of the Phoenix fought alongside them. Harry stood in the Great Hall with his parents, watching Death Eaters breach the wards. This is it, Harry said quietly. This is the final battle. We fight together, James said, gripping his wand. We've fought together your whole life. We end this together. The battle was chaos. Spells flew everywhere. Students fought Death Eaters. Giants attacked the castle. Aragog's children swarmed the grounds. Harry fought through it all, searching for Nagini, the final Horcrux besides himself. He found her in the Shrieking Shack, where Voldemort was meeting with Snape. Harry watched from hiding as Voldemort turned on Snape. The Elder Wand doesn't answer to me, Voldemort said coldly. It was Dumbledore's, and now it must transfer to his killer. That's you, Severus. My lord, Nagini, kill. The snake struck. Snape fell, bleeding from massive wounds to his neck. Voldemort left him to die. Harry rushed to Snape's side, tried to stop the bleeding, but the wounds were too severe. "Take them," Snape gasped, tears leaking from his eyes. "Take my memories. Give them to Potter, to your parents. They need to know." Snape's memories flooded into the vial Harry conjured. Then Snape's eyes focused on Harry's face one last time. "You have your mother's eyes," Snape whispered. Tell Lily. I'm sorry." He died in Harry's arms. Harry fled with the memories, found his parents, and together they viewed them in a pensieve hurriedly set up in the room of requirement. They saw everything. Snape's love for Lily, his role as double agent, his years protecting Harry on Dumbledore's orders, his anguish at having to kill Dumbledore, his complete loyalty to defeating Voldemort, and they saw Dumbledore's final instructions. Harry is the final Horcrux. He must die for Voldemort to become mortal. Tell him when the time is right. No, Lily said, tears streaming down her face. There has to be another way. There isn't, Harry said, feeling strangely calm. I have to die. It's the only way to destroy the Horcrux. Then we all die, James said fiercely. We won't let you face this alone. Yes, you will, Harry said gently. Because someone has to kill Voldemort after I'm gone. Someone has to end this. And that's you. He hugged his parents, the people who'd raised him, trained him, loved him, prepared him for this exact moment. I love you, Harry said. Thank you for everything. For giving me a childhood, for teaching me magic, for showing me what family means. I'm ready for this because you made me ready. Harry, Lily was sobbing. I know the spell to extract a soul fragment, Harry interrupted. Hermione and I found it. But it requires the host to want the Horcrux gone more than they want to live. That's the key. I have to choose to release it. And then, James asked hoarsely, then Voldemort becomes mortal. Then you can kill him. Then the prophecy is fulfilled. One of us dies at the hand of the other. It'll be me, but I'll take his immortality with me. Harry walked into the Forbidden Forest alone, as Voldemort had commanded via their connection. Death Eaters surrounded him. Voldemort stood waiting, the Elder Wand in his hand. Harry Potter, Voldemort said softly, the boy who lived, come to die. I'm ready, Harry said. And he was. Years of preparation, of training, of love had led to this moment. No last words? No pleas for mercy? Just one thing, Harry said. I forgive you. Voldemort's red eyes widened in confusion. The concept of forgiveness was alien to him. Avada Kedavra. The green light struck Harry. He felt the Horcrux in his scar scream and tear away, felt his own soul remain intact, felt himself fall into darkness, and woke in a white space that might have been King's Cross Station, or might have been his own mind. Dumbledore was there, smiling gently, and beside him was a small flayed creature that might have been the Horcrux fragment, now powerless and dying. You separated it, Dumbledore said proudly. You chose to release the Horcrux rather than let it die with you. Brilliant magic, Harry. Your mother would be proud. Is it over? Harry asked. The Horcrux is destroyed. You can return to your body if you choose, or you can move on. The choice is yours. Can I actually survive? Your mother's protection saved you once. Your own choice to sacrifice yourself has saved you again. Yes, Harry. You can survive. Then I'm going back. My parents need me. Voldemort needs to be finished. Harry opened his eyes in the Forbidden Forest. Played dead while Voldemort celebrated and ordered Hagrid to carry Harry's body back to the castle. When they arrived, Harry heard his mother's scream of grief, heard his father's roar of rage, heard the battle resume as the defenders of Hogwarts refused to surrender. And Harry rolled out of Hagrid's arms, very much alive. I'm not dead, Harry announced to the shocked crowd. The Horcrux is dead, but I survived. Voldemort's face contorted with fury and fear. Impossible. You don't understand sacrifice, Harry said, standing to face him. You don't understand love. That's why you'll always lose. The final duel was witnessed by everyone. Harry versus Voldemort, wands locked, magic blazing. But this time, Harry had no Horcrux connection. No shared soul fragment. He was completely himself. The Elder Wand won't serve you, Harry said as their spells connected. It answers to its true master. And Dumbledore's killer was Snape. The wand passed to Snape, and Snape died protecting me, willing his magic and his loyalty to my family. The wand recognizes that. It was a lie, but a believable one. And wand lore was complicated enough that Voldemort couldn't be certain. Avada Kedavra, Voldemort screamed. Expelliarmus, Harry shouted. The spells met. The Elder Wand, recognizing Harry's ownership, he'd disarmed Draco, who'd disarmed Dumbledore, the true line of succession, refused to kill its master. The killing curse rebounded. Tom Riddle died, finally and permanently, every Horcrux destroyed. Voldemort's body collapsed. The Death Eaters fled or surrendered. And Harry Potter, the boy who lived, stood victorious. His parents reached him first, both crying, both pulling him into a fierce embrace. You're alive, Lily sobbed. You're actually alive. Told you I'd come back, Harry said, managing a weak smile. Don't ever do that again, James said roughly. Promise. EPI log. 19 years later, Platform 9 3/4 was crowded with families saying goodbye to students. Harry Potter stood with his wife Ginny and their 3 children, watching the organized chaos with amusement. Nervous? Ginny asked their oldest son, James Sirius Potter. A bit, James admitted. What if I'm not in Gryffindor like you and Granddad? Then you'll be in whatever house suits you best, Harry said firmly. Houses don't define worth, James. Choices do. Granddad James, their daughter Lily shouted, pointing. Harry turned to see his parents approaching. James and Lily Potter, now in their 50s but still vibrant and active, retired from active combat but teaching at Hogwarts, James as flying instructor, Lily as charms professor. There's my favorite grandson, James said, pulling young James into a hug. I'm your only grandson, James pointed out. Makes you the favorite by default. Smart lad. Lily hugged her grandchildren, then turned to Harry. How are you feeling? First child going to Hogwarts? Terrified, Harry admitted. I know Hogwarts is safer now. I know you and Dad will be there to watch over him. But I still remember everything that happened to me. You also remember that you survived it all, Lily reminded him gently. And you had us to help you through it. James has that too. He'll be fine. I know, but I'm allowed to be a worried parent. You absolutely are, James Sr. agreed. I was worried about you constantly. Your mother had to talk me down from putting tracking charms on you daily. You put tracking charms on me weekly instead, Harry said dryly. Exactly. Showed remarkable restraint. They helped young James onto the train, waved as it pulled away, then stood on the platform together, 3 generations of Potters who'd fought and survived and built a better world. He'll be remarkable, Lily said, watching the train disappear, just like his father. Better than his father, Harry corrected. He won't have to fight a war, won't have to face Dark Lords, won't carry prophecies and Horcruxes. He gets to just be a student. That's what we fought for, James said quietly. So the next generation could be normal? Was I normal? Harry asked. Growing up with you two, training me constantly, preparing me for war? You were loved, Lily replied. That's what mattered. Yes, we trained you. Yes, we prepared you for danger, but we also gave you a childhood. Friends, laughter, family. You were both the boy who lived and just Harry. We tried to balance both. You succeeded, Harry said honestly. I had a good childhood despite everything. I knew I was loved. That made all the difference. They left the platform together, 3 generations bound by love and sacrifice, and the knowledge that family, chosen or blood, was the most powerful magic of all. Harry Potter had been raised by James and Lily Potter, had grown up, loved, trained, prepared, had faced Voldemort multiple times and survived, had fulfilled the prophecy while surrounded by family rather than alone. The scar on his forehead had barely troubled him in 19 years. Voldemort was truly, permanently dead. The Horcruxes were destroyed. The war was over. And Harry Potter, the boy who lived, raised by parents who'd survived to guide him, had built a life worth living. A life where love defeated death, where family mattered more than prophecy, where the son of James and Lily Potter could finally just be Harry. Not the chosen one, not the boy who lived, just a man who'd survived, who'd loved, who'd raised children in a world free from Dark Lords. And that, finally, was enough.